Hi. Annual Confidential Report ACR is supposed to be filled by the superiors and for self introspection too. This is a very important report for the increments, for getting to know what exactly has the employee or the teacher did around the year. Now, first year it might be possible that the teacher was absolutely unaware that what was written in that report, and she could not perform or he could not perform accordingly. But at least starting from the next year, for the increment purposes, this ACR report is mandatory and must be mandatory. This is so important that the quality of school, quality of teachers depend upon this. When teacher go through this report into a self-introspection mode, teacher will also get to understand what she missed out. What were her duties? Did she perform her duty well, or she just passed on her time? Teaching is not a profession, a part-time profession, where you can just come to school, just do a little bit of teaching and go back home. In that case, students' life is going to be on stake. So filling up ACR is a very important task, a very important point, which has to be done by the teacher, signed by the coordinator, signed by the principal, and based on this, the teacher's continuity, the probation period must be taken care of. If the teacher is not done significantly well in this ACR report, then probably she is not eligible to continue in the school, and the school is going to be suffering because of the teacher who is not doing good in this on all these parameters. So I'm going to be discussing these parameters with you right away. In ACR report, first thing we have to write is the basic information. Review period from which date to which date. ACR format is available at cpdonline.in, and in Principal's Handbook it is evident, and there is a reminder to fill up ACR for all the teachers before increment. The name of the employee, personal file number, date of birth, date of joining, date of promotion, present salary. These are some basic. And then comes as educational qualifications. Then next point is how many leaves has the employee taken. Now when the leave comes, if an employee is prone, if the employee or the teacher is taking regular leaves, then we will get to know from this ACR. This has to be cross-verified from the register, from the attendance register. Number of half days taken, number of late arrivals in school. Now if teacher has got a habit of late arrivals, in normal course we are not monitoring, but when it comes to ACR, we monitor and we get to know on this report that how many late arrivals were there for this teacher, how many half days were there, and how many leaves were there. So we get to know about the seriousness of the teacher while filling of this ACR. Now part 2 is self-appraisal for ACR. Now teacher has to write self. She has to tell, he has to tell what good things and what are the responsibilities a teacher has taken during the course of the year for the benefit of the students. So in second part, when self-appraisal comes, first part is session. Which session the self-appraisal is for? Self-appraisal is teacher is asking for an increment from you. Not on what grounds teacher is asking her increment or his increment is she is supposed to give documentary evidences and evidences for that. She has to say, I want an increment and I want an increment for this particular reason. Name, date of birth, attendance for the period, like total number of days and total working days were, how many days she was present and how many working days were there. Then she has to write about the hobbies and interest. He has to also mention about the total teaching experience. How many years of teaching experience he or she had. knowledge of ICT, computers, Zoom classes, online teaching. So she is or he has to mention over there. Then address. Now coming to a sub part of this, which is academic achievement. Now this is again very important part. Teacher has to fill this. Either a class teacher or a subject teacher. The first part comes is serial number, class section, total number of students over there. Total number of students, those who passed. Pass percentage, detained percentage, distinction 60%, 50%. Now from here a teacher will also introspect how many students failed and how many students got distinction or above 90%. Now this is the report card of the teacher which teacher has to fill. Teacher has to find out. Then how many periods were taken, which classes she was teaching, how many on which section and how many periods, and total number of periods per week. Now next part, special responsibilities held by the teacher in the school. So she has to mention what were the special responsibilities. Was she a club in charge? Was she a house in charge? She means he and she both. Did she take part in some events? Did she organize some events? Did the teacher, did something for the creativity, mess, innovation? So what were the special responsibilities which that particular teacher held during that year? Extra responsibility that the teacher came out with new and creative ideas. How many creative ideas were announced by or told by the teacher? What creativity was demonstrated by the teacher has to be filled by the teacher in the self-evaluation form. Then, participation in. Now, there are many teachers who might have not participated. Then how can you claim your increments? Because the teachers, those who have participated, those who have done significantly, or those who have been involved, can claim for an increment. Now, let us talk about that. School function, participation in school function, were you there? Events, game and sports, cultural activities, literary activities, field trips, excursions, camp, inter-school tournament, inter-school tournament. So how many there might be more things. So what was your participation in school life? To build up school, to make the school grow, what was your participation? So the teacher has to fill up that what was your participation, how much you participated in school functions, did you take responsibility of a play or a dance or a music or your class, in sports and games competition, did you motivate, were you the part in organizing committee, in literary activities, in field trips. So wherever you there in school life, so you have to mention over there in your self-introspection ACR. Then what were the innovation and experiments conducted related to teaching methods and techniques? You were teaching in a class. What were the innovations or experiments you did in your class? Now based on your result, if your result is 100%, that means definitely you have done some innovations and experiments. But if your result is not 100%, then what were the innovation and experiments you did? So you have to write it down. So teacher has to innovate and experiment the teaching strategies to make teaching learning process far more better than probably what it is there existently or right now. Then, special projects undertaken. Did you attend any seminar, workshop, exhibition, academic fair? Did you organize any of them? Did you come up with an idea of any seminar or workshop or exhibition? So you have to fill up that. Did you participate in any public examination? CTET examination? Or maybe, any of the government examination? So did you participate? So you have to mention. Then you have to mention about the remedial teaching program or conducted. Did you organize any remedial? Were you involved in the remedial teaching? And if you were involved in the remedial teaching, what significant difference you made in students' life? has to be mentioned over there in ACR. And if you were not involved in the remedial teaching, then probably again you won't be able to fill up over here. What were the initiatives taken to encourage love for reading in your students? Now, reading is very important. A reader is a leader. There is another video in Principal's Handbook and Diary YouTube channel about reading or library at home. So we want to inculcate in our school philosophy or your school philosophy, there must be that the student must be a good reader. So what did teacher do to encourage reading or to create love for reading? So did you talk to few students about reading? Now cpdonline.in has got active reader module and there are a lot of books over there. So did you encourage reading amongst the students? How many students did you encourage and how many books did they read? So this is what you have to mention. Any significant difference you think which is not discussed over here again needs to be mentioned over here. Now, coming to the future. Any area of school activity you would like to be involved in future? Maybe, okay, past year you were not knowing about ACR, you did not participate, fine. Now, what are the school activities you would like to be involved in the future? You can mention it over there. So the principal, when she evaluates for the teacher, he or she get to know that, okay, you haven't done it, but now you want to be involved in these possible activities. So come up, be proactive in coming ahead. You have to also write 2 books recently read. Did you read any book? Reading is very important for a teacher too. So you have to mention the 2 books which you have read of the subject and not of your subject, like fiction books. So you have to mention about these 4 books which you have read recently, maybe during the course of the year. It's not just the student those are supposed to read books, it is teachers also those who are supposed to read books. Then seminar, workshop attended. If there were some targets being given to you, you have to tell about the shortfall of the target. Why the shortfalls were there or why overachievement was of the targets were there. So you have to tell you the shortfalls over here that yes, you were assigned this target, maybe admissions, maybe fee collection. So, or any duty or assignment, maybe you were given annual function, but it did not went well. So you have to briefly tell the shortfalls of the target being given to you or any objective related to assigned duties or any constraint. So you have to mention it over there that why this target was not achieved, what was the constraint, why you were not able to achieve. You have to mention it over here. You have to also mention that what were the gray areas, what were the problem areas where you need professional advice, you need professional training. So you have to tell that what were the gray areas, what were the concerning areas where you would like to have some training for or professional development activities for. Then for an assignment, if you were given some outside assignment, then how did you do? Now, next part in this is effort made to enhance academic level of the students. In spite of the best efforts done within time by you, what amount of portions remained uncovered? You were given some curriculum, some syllabus. The weekly bifurcation was given. You might have put in the best of your time, but then how much of the syllabus was left? You have to mention it over here. You have to also mention class-wise, subject-wise of the extra classes you have conducted. You have to also tell, being a class teacher or a subject teacher, what efforts you have taken to inculcate or develop the moral values amongst your students. Because if moral values are not developed, then still there is a concern. What efforts or actions you have taken and what was the result? Cleanliness of students, late arrival, improper uniform, cleanliness of your classroom, and cleanliness of the school campus. So what did you do on all these points? You have to mention over there. So being a teacher is not just coming to the class and doing some teaching. But being a teacher is a very, very responsible job. And being this responsible job, these are the responsibility points. If you're not aware, you must get to know about these points starting. See this video again and again, again and again. Make some points, make some notes so that you're aware. Next point. In spite of best of your efforts, amount of homework or assignments that could not be checked by you for whatever reasons. You were putting best of your efforts, understood. But still, were the homework not checked? Were the assignments not checked? You have to mention it over here. And your coordinator is going to cross-check whatever you are writing is right or wrong. How can you help the student, those who were not able to take full benefits of normal teaching? How can you help them? This is, you have to write it down. You're a teacher, you know the ways and means. Now you have to write down how can you help the students. You have to tell some effective methods you adopted during the session to raise or uplift the examination results. Last year result might be something. Last year result of your class average might be 70%. Now what efforts did you put and how did you make it 75 or 78 or 100%? So what were the efforts you had put in during the course of the year? Are you satisfied with your teaching process or teaching strategies? If yes, then you have to tell. And if not, then what? Then you have to mention. How many times you were late during the school? How many times you failed to attend the morning assembly? Which is the morning assembly sets the tone of the day. How many times you were late? You have to write down few more things. You are satisfied working in the school because what are the reasons that you are satisfied and you feel you have to continue, and what are the reasons you are unsatisfied and you want some improvement in the school. Now it is not about you, but this is a feedback, a genuine feedback which you are supposed to provide, that you are satisfied because of this reason and you're not satisfied because of this reason. And then you have to give some suggestions. Being a teacher, you can be the best advisor. So what are the suggestions you want to offer for the betterment of academic? For the betterment of academics, what are the suggestions you would like to offer? This is you have to. Then coming to the coordinator. Coming to the result analysis, now teacher has to tell about the result. Number of students appeared, number of students passed, number of students failed, number of students got first division, number of students got second division, number of students got 90% plus, 80% plus, 75% plus, number of students who scored between 60 to 75, number of who scored between 50 to 60, 40 to 50, and total number of distinctions. So teacher has to mention about her result or his result, because teacher also need to introspect what happened, what exactly happened during the course of the teaching. Then top 5 ranks of the subject. What was the top 5 ranks she has to mention. Now coming to the coordinators or the person who is going to be evaluating this particular teacher. And teachers, please understand that on these points also you are going to be evaluated on a rubric, that were you outstanding, were you below average, were you above average, or unsatisfactory. Now these are again few points which teacher needs to understand, that she is going to be evaluated by the coordinator or the principal on these points. So all the coordinators or the principal, please understand that you have to evaluate your teacher on these particular competencies. So please understand that. Professional competencies, power of expression or communication skills, knowledge of the subject, involvement in lesson planning, keeping up with the educational developments, putting in efforts into quality assignments and quality question papers, proper correction of work and follow-up, class control and management, competence to take care and counsel students. These were the professional competencies. Coming to the attitude and enthusiasm, interest in school work, capacity for sustained hard work, commitment to quality of work, then dependability and sense of responsibility. Now the next part of evaluation by the principal is, or the coordinators or the immediate superior, that are they dependable and do they take sense of responsibility? In these points, willingness to own and assume responsibility, extent to which we can depend upon this particular teacher on the discharge of a duty, punctuality in work schedule, punctuality in reaching school. The next part of evaluation is integrity and loyalty, professional integrity, financial integrity, personal involvement with the institution. Whether the teacher is personally involved with the institution or she is just coming, passing the time, teaching something and going back. The next point of evaluation is initiative and resourcefulness, capacity to creatively think, willingness to try new ideas, ability to solve problems. These were the next few points. Then interpersonal skills, ability to get along with the people or there is a fight and quarrel always. Persuasive ability, that the teacher is persuading or she is following and making that work done. Amendability to discipline, she is prone to change and she can change. Ability to relate to positivity of every people or every student irrespective of their achievement. Like we must be positive to every child irrespective of their achievement. And students change. We have seen students. I still remember a child. He was the naughtiest most student in the school. In 8th class while he was, I'll also name him while I was being a principal, Utkarsh Kansal, I still remember. He was the naughtiest most 3 times suspended student who could not score more than 40%. I went to his class for teaching while he was in 8th class, just taught him science for 3 days. I don't know what happened and what change came in him. He was the topper of 8th class after that. And finally he topped commerce in 12th boards. And just within no time he became a chartered accountant. And he's a proper chartered accountant today. A failure in 8th class became still 7th class, who was the naughtiest most became the topper of the school. He was the topper means first ranker. And then a chartered accountant soon after that. So you need to be very positive, irrespective of their achievement. You need to be very positive about every student. Every student can create a difference in his or her life. Ability to help students gain confidence, interaction with parents, appropriate appearance and manners. So these are the points where the teachers has to be introspected. Next point is teamwork, ability to inspire confidence in colleagues, team spirits and initiative, willingness to share workload. Somebody is having over workload, then that teacher can take workload. So teamwork also has to be taken care of. Another coordinator also has to write down any personal problems with the teacher that conflicts with the performance in the school, areas she needs further improvement and growth, frequent complaints of the parent or students or the colleagues, other teachers about this particular teacher, which has to be written, any memos or warning letter being issued to the teacher, suggestions for the improvement for this particular employee. Now these are the points which has to be taken care while filling of ACR. So ACR is not a small time job or a easy job. Filling of this self introspection and filling by the coordinator, and teaching itself is not an easy job. After listening to all these points, you might think that the teacher is the toughest possible job. Yes, teaching is the toughest possible job on earth. The teacher will be respected if she is able to follow all these points and she is following these points. And the teacher is following these points, then only teacher is a perfect teacher. If you are able to fill up this point, yes, you are eligible for maybe 100% increment. Yes, you are able, but if you introspect yourself and find out that you haven't done all these things, then probably you cannot claim your increments too. And you cannot claim being a good teacher. So if you think you are a good teacher, then all these points must be sparkled with stars, with the finest of remarks by your coordinators, by the principals, and you yourself must be confident upon all these points. I know there were a lot of points. Watch this video again, pause it, write them down, pause it, write them down, pause it, write them down. I could have given you a PDF file, but no, I want you to see this video again and again, write these points down, put them in your mind that yes, I am supposed to do this for being a great teacher. I am sure after watching this video, there might have been some insight, some thought-provoking thoughts, it might have prompted you to some critically, you will analyze that what teaching is. I'm sure you would be a great teacher if you follow these points. Think that these are the points you're supposed to follow, and I'm sure you're going to be a great teacher. So, good wishes, all the best. Keep watching the videos. We are going to be, loading on Principal's Handbook and Diary. Do subscribe the channel. I'm sure you will get a lot of interesting videos over here. Thank you very much. Have a great day.